In Galena that led to the theft of a number of guns, and a recall effort against a Joplin councilman is put on hold. KOAM News at 10 is next. Now at 10, a Pittsburgh woman's quest for legal status ends in detention, leaving her family struggling for answers. Plus, multiple agencies now searching for the person who broke into a Galena pawn shop and stole several firearms, and why efforts to recall a Joplin councilman are now on hold.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A couple appear before what they thought was an immigration application interview, but turns into an ICE detainment. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Dow Quick. As Fernanda Silva reports, the couple's daughter, an American citizen and Pittsburgh resident, is fearful for her mother's future.
It just sucks to lose her, and I wish we could come back to this park.
Karina Moran and her mom, Rosemary Alvarado, used to walk at Lakeside Park often. Now Karina fears she will never be able to do that again.
It's hard. I don't know what I'm going to do without her.
Rosemary is being held at an ICE facility in Chase County.
She said that she's been crying herself to sleep.
Karina Moran is the daughter of 2 immigrants. Her father, Nixon, is from El Salvador. In March, just a month ago, he became a U.S. citizen. Her mom, Rosemary, is from Guatemala. Rosemary has been working to get her lawful permanent resident status since April of 2021 after being undocumented for years.
We keep getting told you should have done it through the right way, the legal way. That's what we were doing.
It is a long process. Nixon, who was a lawful permanent resident, filed the petition for his wife. According to Karina, he resubmitted the petition once he got his citizenship last month. Last week, they received a letter from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Her family drove to Kansas City for what they thought was an interview. Instead, she was detained by immigration officers.
We just watched as they drove away with my mom, and we couldn't do anything about it.
We contacted USCIS. They didn't comment on her individual case. Karina's family is in pieces. Her younger brothers are struggling.
You know, they keep asking, where's mom? When is she going to come home?
According to Chase County Sheriff Jacob Welsh, Rosemary has an order of removal, which a judge issued in 2002.
What they had told us is because she was a minor at the time, our attorney told us that shouldn't affect her new petition.
According to Karina, the family's lawyer believes the reason for the detention is Rosemary's previous deportation order. She also faced domestic violence charges a few years ago, but the cases were dismissed.
I never claimed her to be perfect.
But now all they can do is fight for a positive outcome.
I was so excited to share, for her to be at my graduation, or for her to watch me get married. It's so quiet in our house, and we just miss her voice.
The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office has been contacted for comment. So far, they have not responded. Let's check in with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney now for a first look at the weather.
Well, we do have the potential for severe threat tonight. As you can see, we had an elevated tornado risk, a significant hail threat, and an elevated wind threat. But we're really holding off. We've got a pretty strong cap over the atmosphere right now, so we're not exactly seeing anything popping up today. We are seeing this dry line being pushed in, and that's causing storms up near Kansas City, also down in south of Oklahoma City. But our secondary forcing is actually going to be this cold front. As you can see, it's pushing in a little bit further south, pushing in, causing some storms up there in Wisconsin now. That's going to be dropping down over the next several hours, bringing the cold front to our area, causing storms to spike. Now it's between 1 a.m. Here comes those lines of showers and thunderstorms. Stronger storms develop south of Wichita, right along the Kansas and Oklahoma border. As it pushes in, that front stalls out right along I-44, and then we just get these training storms as they move to the northeast, causing a major flooding risk. But I'm going to have a full look forecast coming up.
Catch soon. Authorities in Galena are investigating a burglary at this pawn shop where someone stole guns. Police responded to a report of a broken front door at the shop this morning and saw a possible suspect running from the area on Main Street. Authorities recovered the possible suspect vehicle a short time later in Cherokee County. They say it had been stolen from Joplin. About 8 guns were stolen from the pawn shop. The Galena Police Department and the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office are investigating the case. It's not exactly a traffic jam, closer to potential jam in the traffic. Oklahoma troopers say a semi-truck was carrying 40,000 pounds of strawberries when it crashed near the McDonald's above I-44. The crash closed all lanes of traffic as the semi ran into the median, pushing it into the eastbound lanes. The driver, who fell asleep, was not injured. An effort to recall a Joplin city councilman started earlier this month has now been put on pause. As KOIM Samantha Walker explains, the pause comes as the parties involved say they've sat down for a meeting that was, quote, largely positive and productive.
Just a few weeks ago, Joplin City Councilman Ryan Jackson was at the center of a citizen recall effort following a series of controversial comments about transgender people. A petition was started to remove Jackson from his council seat, but now organizers of the recall effort say they're putting a pause on active efforts following a meeting with Jackson where he was, quote, respectful, listened to their concerns and eager to learn, and took accountability for his words on social media. Organizers say in good faith they'll be suspending all formal petition events. Councilman Jackson adds, quote, at the end of the day, we are going to have different opinions. We can just agree to disagree. That's the world we live in. Organizers of the Recall Ryan Jackson campaign say they aren't withdrawing the petition, and it will remain active as a way to hold Jackson accountable in the future if needed. Reporting in the studio, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Over the next several weeks, some registered voters in Oklahoma will receive an address confirmation notice from the state election board. The notices are required by state law to confirm whether voters still live at their address on file with the county election board. Voters who receive the notice have 60 days to respond. Those who do not respond and confirm their address within that allotted time will be designated as inactive and are required by law to be removed from the voter rolls if they don't vote during or before the 2028 general election. If you get a notice, the state says the easiest way to respond will be online. Crowder College announces new leadership today. The Board of Trustees voted unanimously to appoint Dr. Chet Daniels as president of the college. Daniels was named interim president on February 1st. He began his work at the college in 2017 and has served many roles for the school, including teacher and in logistics. Daniel also served as a Marine for 9 years. Dr. Daniel and his wife have 2 adult children who are, as you might imagine, Crowder College alumni as well. A Pitt State softball standout shares her thoughts as the Gorillas head into Thursday's MIAA tournament. That story is coming up later in sports. But up first, rating the president's first 100 days.
The Trump administration highlights its immigration crackdown as President Trump approaches his 100th day in office. I'm Erica Brown at the White House with more on that and what Americans think of the president's job performance so far.
Tomorrow marks President Trump's 100th day in office. The milestone comes as the White House continues to defend its deportation measures. Erica Brown has the latest.
But the Eagles have turned out to be an incredible team, an incredible group.
President Trump welcomed the Philadelphia Eagles to the White House Monday in celebration of the team's recent Super Bowl victory. The visit comes on the eve of the president's 100th day in office. A new CBS News poll finds the president's overall approval rating has dropped to 45%, down from 53% in February. But when it comes to the president's immigration program to deport immigrants who are in the United States illegally, more than half, 56%, approve. Posters with photographs of unnamed people the administration says were undocumented and arrested for alleged crimes were displayed on the White House North Lawn. Also Monday, President Trump signed more executive orders, including one aimed at sanctuary cities and another requiring all U.S. truck drivers to be proficient in the English language. The orders come as the Trump administration defends the removal of 3 young children, all U.S. citizens, to Honduras last week when their mothers were deported.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position.
I can't even imagine how much time we spend debating how much generosity how many billions of taxpayer dollars, how much amnesty, how many reprieves we should give to people who chose to come here illegally and take from us and our people.
Border Czar Tom Homan said approximately 139,000 deportations have been carried out since President Trump returned to office. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Now, while today's focus was on immigration, the White House says tomorrow there's going to be another early morning briefing with the Treasury Secretary to discuss President Trump's economic accomplishments. Tomorrow night, President Trump heads to Michigan to mark 100 days of his second term. A little bit later, protecting pollinators.
Butterfly populations are dwindling. I'm Cristian Benavides with the efforts to stem the losses and create habitats where they can thrive.
And we have a severe weather potential as we head into Tuesday. I'll have those details right after this.
Of your home. Hotel suites and more. Experience the Indigo Sky difference. Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Well, we've been tracking potential for severe weather tonight, but we're definitely going to see something as we head into Tuesday. Now, taking a look at our current radar, we've got a lot going on tonight, especially across the central and even northern plains. So we've got our cold front that's driving storms up in the north. You can see tornadoes, severe thunderstorm warnings. So they've had a pretty active night. And then we have our dry line draped across Kansas, Oklahoma, and into Texas. And that's caused a few thunderstorms to pop up, some severe as well, but not quite in our area because we've had a cap, which means there's a lid to our severe weather threat. It's just a layer in the atmosphere that actually causes storms to not be able to push through unless there's significant forcing, like a cold front, which is what we'll be seeing tomorrow morning. But you can see a couple of these thunderstorms kind of pushed into Kansas City. That is right along the dry line, although none of them have gone severe, just some loud thunderstorms. So that's what we've expected with the dry line. Now you can see, taking a look outside downtown Joplin, you can see all of the winds out there. It's pretty windy still ahead of the cold front, but nothing changes for us until that front starts to push through. So this is about 1 a.m. You can see how rain showers kind of developing along that front, Kansas City all the way out to Wichita. That continues to push in, and some severe storms develop right ahead of that front as the front starts to push through. That's going to be south of Wichita, moving into our western counties, but the cold front really drapes further south, so we may not see a big severe threat with that, except for you can see how winds, it bows out just a little bit there as it heads towards Veneta, Miami, those cities out in Oklahoma, but that's all going to push in. And as the front settles right along I-44, it actually stalls out, which causes then our flooding threat Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday, because this cold front just kind of shifts all of this rain off to the northeast, and then we get these training storms that just form right behind the next one and continue to drop a ton of rainfall across the exact same areas that have already seen quite a bit of rainfall. So now we're Tuesday afternoon. We've still got these scattered thunderstorms along and south of I-44. Those continue to push through overnight Tuesday and into Wednesday as well, where we're going to see the potential to see 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. Joplin area getting 4.5, Columbus 4, Pittsburgh about 2.5 to 3 inches of rain. Veneta is seeing about 5 inches of rain. So again, some of these areas, isolated areas that just see the same storms moving right on top of each other, have the potential to see 5, maybe even pushing up to 6 inches of rainfall, which can cause a pretty significant flooding threat, especially for the 4 states. We've already seen quite a bit of flooding, had multiple flooding warnings for separate counties that lasted for days, and we have flooding risks all the way until Thursday. So that's going to continue. Thursday morning, storms start to clear out. We do have a little bit of a lull there before our next chance of storms, but with how much rain we've seen this season and then just an additional amount of rainfall, we've already been completely saturated since our last storms last week. Now we have another flooding threat. So the likelihood that we completely dry out is pretty slim this weekend, but that's what we're focusing on.
Well, we'll take what we can get, I guess. What else can you do?
Exactly.
Thanks, Lindsay. More than 600 pounds of zucchini were given away today in Carterville to make sure good food didn't go to waste. First Baptist Church of Carterville partnered with Souls Harbor to distribute 31 cases of excess produce to Jasper County residents. The event invited people to bring ID or a food pantry card to pick up the free zucchini. Organizers say any remaining produce will be donated to local food pantries. Carthage Little League opened its 2025 season this evening with a ceremony at Fair Acres Sports Complex. The event featured team recognitions, this flag raising, and a ceremonial first pitch by this guy, Dr. Tom Barlow, a former principal of Steadley Elementary and current Carthage City Council member. The ceremony, they say, set the tone for a season filled with teamwork and community spirit. Still ahead, a Missouri Southern Lion gets invited to an NFL rookie minicamp, and Pitt State softball standout Heather Arnett catches up with Ben McLeish ahead of the Gorillas' postseason run. Those stories and more up next in sports.
Sanders.
Pittsburgh State softball prepares for its opening matchup in the MIAA tournament on Thursday. But before the postseason gets started, KOAM sports reporter Ben McLeish catches up with the Gorillas' star shortstop Heather Arnett right on her home turf.
We all want to know the person behind our favorite athlete. But to understand the person, you've got to know the player. That's why here at KOAM, we interviewed the 4 states' top athletes inside the lines.
My name's Heather Arnett. I'm from Pittsburgh, Kansas. I'm a junior, and I play shortstop for Pitt State softball.
Last year, Arnett was a Gold Glove center fielder for the Gorillas. This year, she's playing her natural position, and she makes it look easy. But from my experience, it's a lot harder than it looks. The Gorillas search for their first ever national championship this year, but Arnett already knows what it takes to be a champion. She won 2 state titles with Frontenac High School.
That final out that you make, you all run together, you find somebody, you hug, you jump. It's a pretty incredible feeling that not a lot of people get to experience.
Arnett does a lot more than just play defense. She's racked up over 90 steals the past 2 seasons. And while she gracefully runs from first to third in a matter of seconds, I need to speed up my attempt just to match her pace. But arguably the most impressive part of Arnett's game is when she's at the plate. This year, she became the all-time hits leader at Pitt State.
I didn't even know that I was going to break these records. I'm just the same player that I've always been. Now that I know that I'm the all-time hits holder at Pitt State, I'd like to get the MIAA one.
And while it took me 10 swings just to make solid contact with the ball, well, it's safe to say Arnett is a natural. Ben McLeish, KOAM Sports.
Arnett and the Gorillas take on the winner of Nebraska Kearney and Missouri Western in the quarterfinals of the MIAA tournament on Thursday. Meanwhile, Missouri Southern's Deontay Campbell is getting his shot at making his NFL dream come true. He has reportedly been invited to the Cleveland Browns rookie minicamp. Campbell spent 3 years at Southern, one of them as a redshirt in 2022. In each of the following 2 seasons, Campbell received all MIAA honors at tight end, while hauling in 63 receptions for just under 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. The same is true for former Chanute High School quarterback and safety Ty Bowman. He graduated from CHS in 2020, then played college football at Kansas State. And this weekend, Bowman receives an invite to the Denver Broncos rookie minicamp. Bowman switched to wide receiver during his time at KSU. He began as a walk-on, then by his senior year played in all 13 games for the Wildcats, including 2 starts. That's it for sports. We're back right after this.
State Hero.
Butterflies are important pollinators in our ecosystem, but their populations have gone through a dramatic decline. As Christiane Benavides found out, there are small steps we can all take to make a difference.
Amy Riley caught the gardening bug years ago.
It's actually very therapeutic. People who have it will tell you this is the best thing they've ever done.
She's also found another purpose on her 1-acre lot in Plantation, Florida, helping butterflies. And she spreads the word.
teaching classes at a botanical garden on how to create butterfly habitats. What makes a perfect butterfly garden?
Having the correct host plant and nectar source. The host plant is what caterpillars eat, and nectar sources are what butterflies eat and drink.
Those sources have never been more important. Butterflies are in crisis.
A comprehensive study published in the Journal of Science found butterfly abundance in the U.S. plummeted by 22% between the years 2000 and 2020.
Among the reasons for the decline, pesticides, habitat loss, and rising global temperatures. Nick Haddad is one of the study's co-authors.
This decline is catastrophic. We've lost a quarter of butterflies over 20 years.
Native butterfly garden.
The study raised alarms for the director of regional conservation at Fairchild Gardens in Pinecrest, Florida.
Yet another wake-up call on top of a lot of wake-up calls that we've had that biodiversity is really in trouble.
The team here is focused on conservation efforts, including their native butterfly garden, a 25,000 square foot conservatory, and research laboratories.
There's an idea sometimes that nature is separate from humans, but we're part of that too, and something happens over here is going to affect us here.
A helping hand to keep these hard-working beauties in business. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Pinecrest, Florida.
Study also found 33% of butterfly species have declined over the past 2 decades, with more than 100 losing half their population. Some of us, many of us, could see some rain before we get up in the morning.
Oh yeah, storm's going to start to push in by about 3 a.m. in the northwest, but we do have the potential for some of these to be severe, so keep your eye out for those. But after Tuesday, we're mostly switching to a flooding threat through Thursday morning.
People have to be very aware, as they frequently do in the spring. Thanks. And thank you for joining us. Don't forget the morning show starts at 5 a.m. and let's make it a great tomorrow.